All right, so welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a ton of big news to cover in the crypto space and the Ethereum space. A lot has happened since our last live stream on Friday. A bunch of news actually broke during our last live stream on Friday, but hey, I was focused on bringing the most recent news at that time and wasn't able to talk about it. So we're gonna get into that in this video today. We're gonna look at the markets, what's going on, and why I'm optimistic about how things look right now. All right, so before we get into that, if you're new around here, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to become a blockchain master step by step from start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got a lot of people jumping in the chat here. We got Manny, Clairvoyant Alliance, 3MR, Mark, McMillan, Mama, Evan. May your dreams finally come true. That sounds good to me. Mikey Floyd, Harry. All right, welcome. So let's jump in because, like I said, there's a ton to talk about today. It seems like, the crypto space moves so fast, and here's how it moves. Right, it's sort of like a really slowly and all of a sudden type of thing. People talk about this all the time. Like you look at the Bitcoin price and its cycles where it's like really slow and it just like this. That's how the innovation happens too. And that it's like a fractal. It happens on that macro level. And then also on a really small level, you'll see this, right? Over years, nothing will happen. And then some big tipping point will happen that causes a bunch of stuff to move forward. You see that also on a micro level too, where it's like progress is really slow for a few weeks and then boom, some major stuff happens. And that's exactly what went down this past weekend. So let's jump into that. So the first big thing, and this is what the title and the thumbnail of this video are about, might be the biggest news for Ethereum all year to date. All right, no exaggeration there. Everybody's talking about this. We're seeing Ethereum featured in Bloomberg. We're seeing them lots of other publications out there. So what is it? Well, the big upgrade to Ethereum that I've been talking about for months now on this channel, EIP 1559 is officially going to be included in the hard fork. That's probably going to happen in July. All right, so I'll show you that. This was on the front page of Bloomberg. Okay, so CryptoCoin outperforming Bitcoin is about to see supply reduced. So that's exactly what they're talking about. EIP 1559. We're going to get into that here in a minute about what does that mean. So this is major. Like I said, this is on the front page of Bloomberg. I've seen this float around the news. It was featured in Zero Hedge as well. Lots of the blogs and financial circles, right? So why is this important? Well, I saw some people getting upset because they're like, "Hey, there's no Ethereum in the headline." Okay, but if you click through the article and read it, like it talks about Ethereum in the first paragraph, right? Ethereum blockchain developers approved one of the biggest changes to the network since its inception in 2015, a shift that could spur even bigger gains in the price of its native cryptocurrency, Ether. And of course, I've reached my limit here. I'm a Bloomberg subscriber, so I'd have to, figure out a way to read the rest of the article, but yeah, I saw people getting upset about this, but it's like, most people still don't know what Ether is. They don't know what Ethereum is, so nobody's going to click on a title. It's like, hey, big deal for Ethereum if they're not following Ethereum in already, right? But you tell people that there's a crypto coin outperforming Bitcoin, and they click on the article, and they see the first thing they see right here is Ethereum. Okay, it's not big enough of a household name to entice clicks from a cold audience, right? I get how this works. We're on YouTube. That's how YouTube videos work. People complain about the YouTube titles and thumbnails all the time, but it's like, that's just how it works. You know what I mean? Anyways, so why is this big news? Okay. So, well, they did a pretty good job of explaining the article. EIP 1559 is a network upgrade to Ethereum. It's one of the biggest network upgrades since Ethereum launched in 2015. And there's actually a lot to the upgrade, but one of the biggest things that people are so excited about is the fee burning, okay, which is going to impact the sort of the economics of how Ether, the native cryptocurrency, the Ethereum blockchain actually works. Okay, so I'm actually going to release a video on this since this is now official news. This is going to come out in the next big hard fork that's probably going to happen in July. I'm going to do a deeper dive video that explains everything about this so you can see it all, in one place. If you want to learn more about it, so subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so you can see that when it comes out. But the whole idea is that for the fee burning, essentially it splits the fee. So whenever you send Ether on the blockchain or you interact with a Dapp or a smart contract, you always pay fees to do that, and it splits the fee into two parts. Okay, the base fee and then the minor tip. And so that base fee can be burnt in those transactions. You can think about like a network fee. So basically, everybody who holds Ether is rewarded because it reduces, like part of Ether gets destroyed in that transaction. And so at periods of heightened network activity, this can actually cause ETH to be deflationary. And if that network activity sustains, then that could be a core feature of the cryptocurrency itself if the network stays really, really popular, okay? So the big deal about that is that's a really bullish catalyst because it means that ETH becomes more scarce. What happens when ETH becomes more scarce and the demand stays the same or increases? Well, that means that the price of Ether likely increases as a result, okay? It's not financial advice. It all remains to be seen, but it's very likely, okay? And that's when people are so bullish on this. That's one of the reasons it's, featured in Bloomberg. Ether is, like I said before, it's becoming a household name, right? It's not quite, I wouldn't say with Bitcoin. I think when people talk about cryptocurrencies, they almost, excuse me, interchange Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Like people who I know, excuse me, everybody, who, aren't really into crypto, they think everything's Bitcoin, right? So it's the household name. Ether is becoming that, I feel like. But it's not quite there yet. But there will be people who are plugged into finance who, if they know about Bitcoin, they've heard of Ether, they may not understand it yet. But this is really big. Okay. So let's look at the markets, because there's lots of other things going on that I think are bullish for ETH, for Bitcoin, overall, crypto markets in general. So take a look at that right now. Let's start with the ETH price. So we're at $1,743.27. It was a good weekend. Okay. I think the news of EIP 1559 will have an impact on people jumping into Ether, especially when it's featured in these big publications like Bloomberg, okay, stuff like that. It's always hard to know how much impact the news has on the price of a big asset like this, but I do think this is something that's big enough that can have an impact, okay? Now, of course, we're just going to see some positive correlation with Bitcoin. I mean, I think ETH and Bitcoin are pretty correlated right now in terms of, their movement in a general up or down direction. You know what I mean? In the sense of, I don't think we're going to see ETH just like blasting off if Bitcoin is like on a bearish trend. I mean, we might. It depends on some big factors, but like right now, I don't see that happen. So the whole point is, yeah, I guess as always, I'm not a big TA guy. I'm not a big trader. I try to look at big picture stuff. I'm not making any short-term price predictions on any of this. But I have a lot of bullish sort of intuition about the near future for Ethereum, probably Bitcoin too, for lots of reasons. Okay. So for ETH in particular, of course, EIP 1559, which we just talked about, the fact that rollups, excuse me, and other layer 2 scaling solutions are probably going to start to see wider, rollups in general. I got to start to see good traction probably soon. We've been talking about a ton of these live streams. I think March is going to be a huge month for Ethereum. Optimism, optimistic rollups, mainnet launching in March. We'll probably see some major applications launch rollups shortly after. Okay. I would not be surprised if we saw a Uniswap v3 launch with something like rollups very soon. I don't want to give firm timelines on that. I could be wrong, right? I've been done tons of speculation on this. You can go back and check out those other videos on the channel. That's super bullish, okay, because that'll really challenge the narrative that ETH is broken, that's not going to work, all this kind of stuff, all the sort of toxic marketing that's out there that's like tried to, slander ETH and all this kind of stuff. Like it won't really hold. So that's huge. The other thing is just overall big picture stuff. So one is stimulus. So the U.S. stimulus, I believe it still has to be. I believe there's still one more one more thing that has to happen before it's officially approved, but it looks like it's probably going forward at this point. I haven't checked the news, so it may be 100% officially approved at this point. I had to go look at that. But assuming that stimulus does get passed in the United States, I think that's going to be big for all assets. I think it'll be big for crypto. I think we're going to see, whether the individuals themselves go out and spend their stimulus money on crypto, or whether their stimulus gets spent and redistributed back to people who basically do, put it into crypto, whether it's institutions who are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. I think that's gonna be big. Okay, so it's hard to know how big, but I do think it is a bullish catalyst for crypto on the whole. That's gonna flow into Bitcoin. It's probably gonna flow into Ethereum as well. Lots of good stuff here. All right, so we don't know exactly what's gonna happen in the short term. As always, be cautious, but my outlook for the kind of midterm here for sure is bright. Okay, so the other big thing, so yeah, we're seeing ETH just show its face everywhere. Like I said, we saw these, saw the news in Bloomberg, all over the place. We're seeing ETH featured in NPR. We'll talk about that in a minute. But one thing I want to talk about right now is what was happening with, let's see here. What was happening with Jack Dorsey on Twitter over the weekend. So he put out a tweet. This was on March 5th. This was on Friday. Like I said, so much stuff happened since our last live stream. Some stuff happened like during the live stream or after that I didn't get a chance to talk about. I had to wait till today. So some of you have seen some of this stuff, but I want to talk about it anyway for everybody who hasn't. So this is a tweet that Jack put out. It's a link to an app called Scent, which is a Dapp. Okay. And it's a link to his original tweet on Twitter. Okay, just setting up my Twitter. This is Jack from March 21st, 2006. And you can buy the tweet, okay? That's what you can do here on this Valuables app by Cent. Okay, so anyways, he's selling his tweet. It's going for, let's see here. I guess it's $2.5 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, $2.5 million. So, I've not used this particular auction feature before, so I don't know what has to happen. I guess they're just submitting offers. I guess he has to accept the offer before it actually sells. So I don't know if he's actually going to take it or what he's going to do with the money. If he'll just pocket it or if he'll, I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, so this has been getting a lot of attention because, some people Jack's been a big Bitcoiner. I don't want to project too much onto him. I think he's not always had the most positive thing to say about ETH in the past. I have to go back and check on all that. Maybe he's changed his mind. But this is crazy. Let's see here. Okay, so anyways, part of the point is here we're seeing so much more of what we can do with ETH, what people are willing to throw money behind in experiments. We're talking about the big NFT craze. Will people buy historic digital items on the blockchain? An original tweet from Jack Dorsey, the historic original Genesis tweet for all of Twitter. Will somebody pay money for that? Well, it looks like they will. I paid $2.5 million for it. So anyways, we know the NFT craze continues. We're seeing NFTs hit NPR. Okay, so let me pull this up here. So what is an NFT and why are people paying millions to buy them? So yeah, it's pretty crazy because this keyword is starting to gain a lot more traction. We've seen the Google trends for NFTs go up like crazy. I mean, it's crazy that people are just starting to. I mean, I've seen people way outside the crypto circles, like say NFT on Twitter, on social media. So last week about Kings of Leon releasing their album as an NFT or like some perks along with their album. It's becoming a wider, more household name. Of course, we're seeing NFTs launch on other platforms besides Ethereum. But Ethereum is where NFTs were born. It's where right now, to me, looks like the highest value NFTs currently live and probably will live. Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen, but this is huge that funnels people back into the ETH world. I'm talking about NFTs being so big because it attracts a new crop of people who don't care about just like buying Bitcoin, who don't care about DeFi, who don't care about financial speculation, but actually care about digital art, these other use cases. And that's why it's crazy to see stuff like this, pop up at the top of NPR. So another crazy piece of news that I saw come out this past week is so Brave browser. So Brave browser requires a search engine to offer the first private alternative to Google Search and Google Chrome on both mobile and desktop. Okay, so Brave is a widely used product, and this is pretty awesome. So if you don't know about Brave, it's a browser. It's sort of like a next generation browser. People who care about privacy. It's got a lot of bells and whistles. You probably heard of the BAT token, so basic attention token. So that's part of the Brave browser, where basically you can get paid for watching ads, essentially. It's like a brand new sort of model they've experimented with a lot of the past few years. And Brave is requiring a search. They're requiring a search engine for their product as an alternative to Google Search and Google Chrome. So you might think like, why would somebody want to do that? So not everybody's like privy to the privacy conversation. I think part of the whole deal here is like search engines totally like tracking everything you do and buying your data. And we see people like DuckDuckGo come out as alternatives to that. But looks like Brave is throwing their name in the hat by acquiring a different search engine and integrating it natively in the service, which is pretty awesome. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. Oh, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. Hold on a second. Let me. This is also huge news. I meant to talk about this during the. Hold on a second. Let me pull it up. Well, I'll just pull up this tweet. I wish I could pull up a news article that was a little more official than this tweet, but this will do for now. So a Hong Kong listed company, everyone has to forgive me, I'm not really sure how you pronounce this, okay? This is the company's name. Announced that they bought 380 Bitcoin, or about $18 million, and 15,000 ETH. Okay, that's $22.1 million. Okay, for market open on March 15th, 2021. So I forgot to mention this when I was talking about the markets. This is another reason I'm so bullish. This is an institutional buy of ETH, a big one. All right. Of course, it's not the same as Tesla's $1.5 billion purchase of Bitcoin, right? But this is still big, okay? And one important thing to look at here is they actually bought more Ether than they did Bitcoin. So what does that tell you? All right, this is somebody who's been in the space for a while. You could extrapolate a lot of different things from this. I have a feeling a few of the factors are ETH having a higher upside potential in terms of returns, and also just the utility of what you can do with ETH, like probably the ability to stake it natively on the network. I bet has something to do with it. It'd be interesting to see. We don't have any official word from them, so I'm just speculating into that. It's just my own opinion. But yeah, this is big. This is not the last big institutional buy we're going to see on ETH. We'll probably see bigger ones in the future. But yeah, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. But yeah, huge. All right, see, we got some questions here rolling in the chat. Somebody says if you aren't on Brave and enable bat rewards, you are crazy. Okay, so somebody says, heard on Bloomberg's STEM report this morning about the Atari and decentralized games moving forward with the online casino ran on Ethereum network. So I haven't heard about that, but that'd be interesting to check out. Console log hodl. That's pretty good. What is it? ETH prediction short term? So I don't have a super short term prediction. This bull run for ETH prediction. So go check out my video where I review Raul Paul's price prediction for ETH in 2021. Where I kind of break it down what his price target is. So I think he has a lot of good important things to say about that. So go check that out. So somebody says, what does applying for layer 2 optimism give you the opportunity to do? So we'll talk about this for a minute. So this is for optimism for optimistic rollups. So this is a part of Ethereum scaling. So just, queuing everybody back in who's brand new. Everybody talks about how ETH has really expensive gas fees. It's too slow. It's not going to use it. All these other blockchains are just going to come in and eat Ethereum's lunch. At least that's the sort of toxic marketing message that is flowing, just circles. That's the narrative, right? So basically, we can solve a lot of that. Well, not solve. We can mitigate a lot of that in the short term with layer 2 scaling solutions. It's a brand new, layer built on top of Ethereum base 1 or Ethereum layer 1 that we use right now, the actual blockchain itself. So there's lots of layer 2 scaling solutions out there. Optimistic rollups is the one I'm most excited about for the immediate future. Optimism is launching on mainnet in March. So essentially, there's lots of reasons why I'm bullish on Optimism. Developers can essentially move their apps over to Optimism without that much effort. A lot of developer tooling is supported out of the box. There's some trade-offs, of course, but a lot of those trade-offs can be mitigated, I think, also long-term. So what do you have to do to do it? So we'll get a little more clarity on every official thing step by step as soon as the as soon as we're rolling live in production. There's steps now. I've done some of the Optimism migration work, like trying to make your app optimistic to put it on Optimism. So my sort of official stance on that is waiting to see how these apps get battle tested in production before we know exactly the best practices and what to watch out for. So I don't want to give official input on that until we get clarity from production feedback. But on the grand scheme of things, it's not as much effort as trying to do it on something like ZK rollups. You don't have to learn a new programming language. You don't have to rewrite your app or anything like that. Somebody says, is it possible to do arbitrage with Optimism on layer 2 solutions? So the thing about layer 2 is the liquidity has to move to layer 2. So the apps have to support it. So to answer your question, basically the arbitrage opportunities have to exist on layer 2, and you have to be able to take out a flash loan on layer 2. So since layer 2 is not, layer 2 is here, but since Optimism is not here and widely adopted, I can't tell you exactly every person who's going to exist in Optimism. I think a lot of people will. But yeah. So I haven't done any tutorials on state channels. Somebody asked me about that. I did some interviews with people who were working on state channels a long time ago, but I haven't done any specific tutorials on them. Somebody says, will ETH 2.0 likely be delayed? Is staking ETH 2.0 that risky? So it's a good question. So we don't have an official timeline on Ethereum 2.0. So all the sort of the delays in the past, quote unquote, have been from like release dates that we're not necessarily committed to, that were sort of like leaked. You know what I mean? So that's one thing to keep in consideration. As far as like the actual deadlines that have been official, those have actually been pretty good as of late. So like the Ethereum beacon chain, 2.0 beacon chain, it went live, on schedule after it was really, officially announced. So if that pattern holds true, where we have less like leaks about what the timeline's supposed to be, and then we actually hear official timelines, and those timelines are committed to and actually stuck to, I think we could see Ethereum 2.0 ship on time, quote unquote. Usually those things don't get announced until they're about to happen. We don't get a ton of heads up. The other thing is staking on Ethereum 2.0, like right now, it is risky because if you're actually going to stake, so it depends on what you mean by stake. Some people offer staking services for ETH 2.0 right now where you can just log into their website, click stake essentially, and you'll stake and you can unstake, or maybe you can't unstake. We'll see. That's not as risky as what I'm talking about. Okay, that's not really staking yourself on Ethereum 2.0. Really staking yourself on Ethereum 2.0 means you set up a validator node, you like run a process on a computer. You would know if you had done this because it's pretty involved. You have to like set it up. You have to like take Ether, 32 Ether minimum, send it to this deposit smart contract, activate your validator, do all that kind of stuff. So there is risk in that, right? Part of the risk is the lockup period. You can't get your ETH back for a while until we exit phase 0. So there's definitely risk in that. It's just a different profile. I mean, that's for more advanced, sort of hardcore users who are, betting big on Ethereum long term. I mean, I'm bullish on Ethereum long term, but it's still risky, right? We don't know everything that's going to happen with ETH 2.0. There's no guarantees about the future. That being said, somebody's here listening like, oh, checkmate. My blockchain is going to dominate. Don't forget, everybody who claims they can do stuff better than Ethereum has not fulfilled on their long-term promises at all. Like most of the Ethereum killers, quote unquote, are missing major components today in their production working implementations. So before people get excited or like, oh yeah, checkmate, it's like, well, you still gotta get the basics down. So that's my thought. Yeah, Dot has not delivered on all their long-term promises either. Somebody says even Dot. Yeah, Dot's not in its end-all be-all form yet. I'm not saying Dot's a bad project. That's not what I'm saying at all. But Dot still has to ship. It doesn't have everything yet. So will a higher ETH price is an obstacle for a Dapp? That's a good question. So layer 2 scaling some solutions that I'm talking about will make this problem better. Also want to be clear with everybody, the layer 2 stuff is not the end all be all. Okay, it's not like we turn on layer 2 and all our problems are solved forever. Okay, and those fees are still based on a supply and demand model as well. So we'll have to see what the final numbers are. I think it's gonna be a lot better than what we have now. Okay, and I think it's gonna be bullish for ETH for that reason. It's a lot better than we have now. It also sort of like destroys the narrative that ETH is not doing anything about their problems. Like that's what the narratives are. That's like, oh, ETH is a dinosaur, too slow. Nobody's even trying to fix it. It's not even close to true. ETH is decentralized. It relies upon incentives from decentralized actors. That's what Ethereum wants to be. It doesn't want to be a centralized company that just builds a blockchain and puts it out there. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit slower by design. You want network changes to be slow and infrequent. All that kind of stuff. So that's part of why, you know, some of this stuff is taking a little bit longer. It needs to have incentives in place. It needs to have decentralized coordination to pull some of these things off. So that scares some people, and they say, "Oh, that's never going to work." Open source software has been doing this for decades. All right, yeah, it's been doing it for decades, and ETH is kind of built off that model. All right, everybody. So, yeah, that's all I got for today. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so more people can learn about blockchain. If you like these videos, you want to get your hands dirty. How can you get started today? You go to my YouTube homepage. You can find any of my free courses there. It's like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. If you like those, you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you'll take a master shortcut entirely. Actually, become a blockchain master step by step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right, you don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding background become real world blockchain developers in a matter of months. All right, so that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.